My child, stop for a moment and listen carefully. You did not come here by accident. Something inside you slowed you down. Something made you stay instead of scrolling away. That feeling is not random. That is the beginning of our moment together. I have been waiting for you. Yes, you. Not the version of you that you think would be easier to love. Not the stronger, calmer, more confident version you imagine becoming someday. I am speaking to you as you are right now. My child, prepare yourself, because I want to talk with you. Do not delay this. Do not tell yourself you will come back later. You have said that before, and later kept moving further away. This moment matters. Stay here with me. You have spent so much time thinking you needed to improve before you could come close. You told yourself that you needed to fix your habits, control your thoughts, and become more disciplined. You believed that once you became better, then you would be ready for me. But listen carefully. You do not prepare to meet me by becoming perfect. You prepare by becoming real. Right now, your heart is more open than you think. Not because everything is going well, but because you are tired of pretending that everything is fine. You have been carrying a quiet weight. You go through your day, you complete your tasks, you respond when needed, but inside there is a question that keeps returning. A question you do not always say out loud. Does anyone truly see me? Does my life matter? Am I just existing without direction? My child, I have heard every one of those thoughts, even the ones you tried to ignore, even the ones you quickly replaced with distraction. Nothing about you is hidden from me. I know the moments when you feel strong on the outside, but uncertain inside. I know how you replay conversations, wondering if you said the wrong thing. I know how you question your worth in silence, and I am not coming to you with disappointment. I am coming to you with truth. You have been measuring yourself by the wrong standard. You have been listening to a voice shaped by past hurt, not by truth. That voice told you that you are not enough, that you are behind, that others are more deserving. But that voice is not mine. My voice does not shame you. My voice does not push you away. My voice calls you closer. That is why you are here right now. So prepare yourself, not by becoming someone else, but by allowing yourself to be seen without hiding. You do not need to perform for me. You do not need to impress me. You do not need to hide your confusion or your questions. Bring them. Bring your tired thoughts. Bring your doubts. Bring your unfinished feelings. I already know them, and I am not turning away. My child, this moment is personal. You have often felt like everything meaningful is meant for others. You see people who seem more certain, more stable, more deserving, and you quietly step back. You tell yourself that maybe you are not ready yet, but I am telling you now, you are not overlooked. You are not forgotten. You are not standing at the edge of my attention waiting for your turn. You are already seen. Right now, as you are listening, something inside you is becoming still. That is not weakness. That is your heart recognizing truth. Do not rush past this. You are used to moving quickly, distracting yourself, filling silence with noise. But right now, stay. Let this moment settle. I am not asking you to understand everything at once. I am asking you to stay present, because I want to speak to you more clearly. There are things I want to guide you through. There are areas in your life where you have been carrying pressure alone. You have been trying to figure everything out by yourself, and it has been exhausting. You do not have to do that anymore, but you must prepare your heart to listen. Preparation is not about effort. It is about attention. Will you give me your attention for a little longer? Will you allow yourself to be still without rushing away? Will you let these words reach deeper than surface comfort? My child, if you are still here, that already says something. It means you are ready, even if you feel unsure. It means you are open, even if you feel guarded. And that is enough for me to begin. I am not looking for perfection. I am looking for willingness. So let this be your first step. Not a big dramatic change, not a forced promise, just a quiet decision to stay and listen. Because when you stay, you will begin to hear what you have been missing. When you stay, clarity will come slowly but surely. When you stay, you will realize that you are not alone in the way you thought. My child, I am here, and I am not leaving. Before we continue, I want you to do something simple. If you feel even a small connection to these words, type yes in the comments. Not for anyone else, but as a small step of openness. And if this message is bringing even a little peace to your heart, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. And if you truly feel touched by these words, you can support this ministry through the link given below. Your support helps continue reaching hearts like yours. Now stay with me. Do not leave this moment, because I am just beginning to speak. My child, stay with me a little longer. Do not rush this moment. You are used to moving quickly, jumping from one thought to another, one distraction to the next. But something different is happening right now. You can feel it. There is a quiet slowing inside you. That is where I meet you. Not in the noise, not in the pressure, not in the place where you are trying to keep up with everything and everyone. I meet you in stillness, and I know that stillness can feel unfamiliar to you. Sometimes it even feels uncomfortable. When things become quiet, your thoughts become louder. Old memories come back. Questions rise again. But listen carefully. You are not meant to run from that space. You are meant to let me enter it. My child, you have been carrying more than you admit. Not always in visible ways, not always in ways others can understand, but inside there has been a constant weight, a pressure to figure things out, to make the right choices, to avoid more disappointment. You have been trying to protect yourself. You learned to lower your expectations so you would not get hurt again. You learned to stay quiet about your deeper needs so you would not feel rejected. You learned to act strong even when you felt uncertain, and you called that strength. But some of it was survival, and survival may have helped you through certain moments, but it was never meant to become your permanent way of living. My child, you do not have to keep living like this. You do not have to keep reducing yourself just to feel safe. You do not have to keep expecting less from life just to avoid disappointment. I did not create you to live guarded and closed. I created you to live with truth, with openness, with a heart that is able to receive as well as give. But I know why you became this way. I saw the moments when things did not go as you hoped. I saw the times when you trusted and felt let down. I saw how certain words stayed with you longer than they should have. And slowly, without realizing it, you began to change how you saw yourself. You started believing that maybe you ask for too much, maybe you feel too deeply, maybe it is easier to expect less than to be disappointed again. My child, those thoughts did not come from truth. They came from pain. And pain has a way of shaping your perspective if you do not question it. Pain tells you that one experience defines everything. Pain tells you that one rejection means you are not worthy. Pain tells you that silence means you are forgotten. But that is not the full story. And that is why I am speaking to you now. Because I want to separate what you have believed from what is actually true. You are not too much. You are not too complicated. You are not someone who needs to shrink in order to be accepted. You are someone who has been learning through difficult experiences, and now it is time to see yourself differently. But this change will not happen all at once. It begins with awareness. Right now, as you listen, I want you to notice something. Notice how often you speak to yourself with pressure. Notice how quickly you judge your own feelings. Notice how easily you assume something is wrong with you. You have been harder on yourself than anyone else. And you thought that was necessary. You thought that if you push yourself enough, you would become better, stronger, more worthy. But that approach has only made you more tired. My child, I am not asking you to push harder. I am asking you to listen differently. Instead of reacting with criticism, begin to respond with understanding. Instead of dismissing your feelings, begin to acknowledge them. Instead of assuming the worst about yourself, begin to question those thoughts. This is how preparation begins. not by forcing change, but by allowing truth to enter. And truth takes time to settle. That is why I am not rushing you. I am patient with your process. I am patient with your thoughts. I am patient with your questions. You may not feel ready, but you are closer than you think, because you are listening. And that matters. My child, I want you to understand something important. You are not behind in life. You are not late. You are not missing your chance. You are in a process that is unfolding step by step. But you have been comparing your journey to others. You have been looking at their progress, their clarity, their confidence, and you quietly judged yourself. You thought they are ahead, and you are still trying to figure things out. But you do not see their full story. You do not see their struggles, their doubts, their hidden moments. And more importantly, your path is not meant to look like theirs. Your growth is personal. Your healing is personal. Your timing is personal. And I am guiding you through it, even when you do not see it clearly. So release the pressure to match someone else's pace. Release the need to prove that you are doing enough. Instead, return your focus to this moment, because this moment is where change begins. Not in the past, where you keep replaying what went wrong. Not in the future, where you imagine everything that could go wrong. But here, now, with me. My child, if you are still here, it means something inside you is responding, even if you cannot explain it, even if you are unsure. There is a part of you that recognizes this as truth, so do not ignore that. Stay with it. Let it grow. And before we continue, I want you to take a small step again. If these words are reaching you, type, "I am ready," in the comments. Let that be your quiet decision to stay open and keep listening. And if this message is helping you even a little, share it with someone who might also need this reminder. Now stay with me, because I am guiding you deeper, step by step. My child, you are still here, and that matters more than you realize. There is a reason you have not left this moment. Something inside you is choosing to stay, even if you cannot fully explain why. That quiet choice is the beginning of something important. Do not ignore it. Many times in your life, you have felt something similar. A gentle pull, a sense that you should pause, reflect, or listen more deeply. But often, you moved past it. You returned to your routine, your distractions, your responsibilities. And slowly, those moments became less frequent. But not today. Today, you are staying. And because you are staying, I can speak to you more clearly. My child, there is something I want you to understand about your inner life. You have been living with a constant noise inside your mind. Not always loud, not always obvious, but always present. Thoughts moving quickly, questions repeating, doubts returning in different forms. You have learned to live with that noise. You have called it normal, but deep down, it has been exhausting. You try to find clarity, but the more you think, the more confused you feel. You try to find peace, but your mind keeps pulling you in different directions. And sometimes you begin to believe that this is just how you are. But listen carefully. You are not your noise. You are not your anxious thoughts. You are not the endless cycle of overthinking that has been draining your energy. There is a deeper part of you that is quiet, steady, and aware. That is the place where I meet you. But you have spent so much time in your thoughts that you have forgotten how to return to that deeper place. So now, I am guiding you back, not by force, not by pressure, but by presence. Right now, as you are listening, something is already shifting. You may not notice it clearly, but it is happening. The pace of your thoughts is slowing. Your attention is becoming more focused. That is not an accident. That is what happens when you begin to listen instead of react. My child, you have been reacting to everything. Every situation, every feeling, every thought. You feel something, and immediately you try to fix it. You think something, and immediately you judge it. You experience discomfort, and immediately you try to escape it. This constant reaction has kept you tired, because you have not given yourself space to simply observe and understand. So I want you to try something different. Instead of reacting, Begin to notice. When a thought comes, do not chase it. Do not fight it. Just notice it. When a feeling rises, do not push it away. Do not label it as wrong. Just allow it to be there for a moment. This is not weakness. This is awareness. And awareness creates space. In that space, clarity begins to grow. My child, I am not asking you to control everything inside you. That has already exhausted you. I am asking you to become more gentle with yourself. You have been treating your inner world like a problem to solve instead of a place to understand, and that has made you feel disconnected from yourself. But you are not broken. You are simply overwhelmed. There is a difference, and once you understand that, you will begin to change how you respond to yourself. Instead of saying, "Why am I like this?" you may begin to ask, "What am I feeling right now?" Instead of saying, "I need to fix this immediately," you may begin to say, "Let me understand this first." This shift may seem small, but it changes everything. Because when you stop fighting yourself, you begin to hear what is actually happening inside you. And when you hear clearly, you can move forward with truth instead of confusion. My child, there is another thing I want you to see. You have been carrying fear in a quiet way, not always obvious fear, not always intense, but a steady underlying concern about what might go wrong. You think about the future and imagine problems. You prepare yourself for disappointment before anything has even happened. And you call this being careful. But sometimes it is fear trying to protect you. Fear tells you to expect less, so you will not be hurt. Fear tells you to stay small, so you will not be rejected. Fear tells you to hold back, so you will not fail. But fear also limits you. It keeps you from experiencing the fullness of what is possible. My child, I am not asking you to ignore reality. I am asking you to stop letting fear define your reality. You can move forward with awareness without being controlled by fear. You can be thoughtful without being anxious. You can be prepared without being closed. But this requires trust. And I know trust is not easy for you. You have trusted before and been disappointed. You have believed in something and watched it change. You have hoped, and sometimes that hope felt fragile. So now, you hesitate. You hold back. You protect yourself. And I understand that. But I want you to take one step, not a big step, just one. The step of allowing possibility again. The step of believing that not everything will repeat the past. The step of staying open, even if it feels unfamiliar. Because your future is not a copy of your past. There is more ahead of you than you have allowed yourself to see. But you will not see it clearly if you keep expecting the same outcomes. My child, as you listen, you are already preparing. Not by effort, but by awareness. Not by force, but by openness. And that is enough for now. So stay here, keep listening. Let these words settle into you without rushing to understand everything at once. And before we continue, I want you to respond again. If you feel something shifting inside you, even slightly, type, "I trust this process," in the comments. Let that be your way of staying engaged, staying present, and staying open. Now, remain with me. Because I am leading you further, one step at a time. My child, you are still listening, and that tells me something important about you. It tells me that beneath all your questions, beneath all your doubts, there is still a desire for truth. There is still a part of you that has not given up. Even when you felt tired, even when you felt uncertain, you did not completely close your heart. And that matters, because many people silence that part of themselves. They distract it, ignore it, or convince themselves it is not important. But you are choosing to stay with it. And because of that, I can take you deeper. My child, there is something you need to understand about the way you have been living. You have been trying to carry everything alone, not always physically, but emotionally and mentally. You take responsibility for your actions, your decisions, your future. You try to think ahead, plan carefully, avoid mistakes, and that is not wrong. But what has happened is this. You have slowly taken on more than you were meant to carry by yourself. You have tried to control outcomes that are not fully in your hands. You have tried to manage every possibility so that nothing unexpected happens. And when things did not go as planned, you turned that weight inward. You questioned yourself. You blamed yourself. You told yourself that you should have done better, thought more, acted differently. My child, you have been holding yourself responsible for things that were never fully yours to control. And that has been exhausting, because no matter how much you think, no matter how carefully you plan, you cannot control everything. You cannot control how others respond. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot predict every turn in your path. And yet, you have been trying. That is why you feel tired even when you rest, because your mind has not been resting. It has been working constantly, trying to solve everything, prevent everything, understand everything. But listen carefully. You were not created to carry life this way. There is a difference between being responsible and being burdened. Responsibility allows you to act with awareness. Burden makes you feel like everything depends on you, and you have been living under that burden. My child, I am asking you to release some of that weight, not all at once, but slowly. You do not need to figure out your entire future right now. You do not need to have every answer today. You do not need to control every outcome before it happens. You are allowed to move step by step. You are allowed to not know everything. You are allowed to trust the process as it unfolds. This is part of your preparation, learning to let go of what was never yours to carry. And I know this is not easy for you, because letting go feels like losing control. And losing control feels unsafe. But what if I told you that holding too tightly is what has been making you feel unsafe? Because when you try to control everything, every uncertainty becomes a threat. Every unknown becomes something to fear. Every delay feels like something is going wrong. But when you begin to release that control, something changes. You begin to breathe differently. You begin to see differently. You begin to move with more peace instead of pressure. My child, I am not asking you to stop caring. I am asking you to stop carrying what is too heavy for you. Care with awareness. Act with intention. But release the need to control every result, because I am already present in the parts you cannot see. I am already working in ways you do not yet understand. And when you try to take over everything, you block yourself from recognizing that. My child, there is another layer to this. You have been afraid of making mistakes, not always openly, but quietly. You think carefully before you act. You hesitate before you decide. You replay situations after they happen, wondering if you did something wrong, and you tell yourself that you are just being careful. But sometimes, this is fear of failure. Fear that if you make the wrong choice, everything will fall apart. Fear that one mistake will define your path. But listen to me clearly. You are allowed to make mistakes. You are allowed to learn. You are allowed to grow through experience, not just through perfection. Your life is not meant to be a perfect performance. It is meant to be a real journey, and journeys include wrong turns, unexpected paths, and lessons that only come through experience. So stop expecting yourself to move without error. Instead, focus on moving with honesty, because honesty will guide you more than perfection ever could. My child, preparation is not about becoming flawless. It is about becoming open, aware, and willing. And you are already moving in that direction. You may not see it clearly yet, but it is happening. Every moment you stay, every moment you listen, every moment you reflect instead of react, you are changing. Slowly, gently, but truly. So do not rush this process. Do not pressure yourself to feel something dramatic. Do not expect instant clarity. Let this unfold naturally. Because what is real grows steadily, not suddenly. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another small step. If you are ready to release even a little of the pressure you have been carrying, type "I let go" in the comments. Let that be your quiet decision to begin loosening your grip on what was never fully yours to control. And if you know someone who is also carrying too much in silence, share this message with them. Now, stay with me, because I am guiding you further, and what comes next will help you see yourself more clearly than before. My child, take a slow breath and remain here with me. You have come this far, and I want you to notice something. You are not the same as when you started listening. Something inside you has softened, even if only slightly. Something has become quieter, more aware, more open. That is not your imagination. That is your heart responding. And this is important, because for a long time, you have believed that change must be dramatic to be real. You have thought that if you do not feel a sudden shift, then nothing is happening. But that is not how true change works. Real change is often quiet. It happens in small moments, in subtle awareness, in gentle realizations that slowly reshape how you see yourself and your life. And right now, you are in that process. My child, I want to speak to you about something you rarely admit, even to yourself. You have been feeling alone in ways that are difficult to explain. Not always physically alone. You may be around people, talking, interacting, even laughing. But inside, there is a distance, a feeling that no one fully understands what you carry. You have tried to express it before, but words never felt enough, or you felt like others would not truly get it, so you learned to keep it inside. You became used to handling things on your own, and over time, that became your pattern. You stopped expecting deep understanding. You stopped expecting someone to notice what you do not say. You adjusted yourself to fit into what was available, rather than what you truly needed. My child, that kind of loneliness leaves a mark. Not always visible, but deeply felt. It makes you question your place. It makes you wonder if you are truly seen. It makes you hold back parts of yourself because you are unsure if they will be received. But listen to me carefully. You are not invisible. You are not outside of being understood. You are not meant to go through life feeling like no one truly sees you. And even in the moments where people did not understand you, I was there. I saw what you could not express. I understood what you could not explain. I noticed what others missed. Nothing about you has been ignored. My child, I know the quiet strength it took for you to keep going when you felt alone. I know the courage it took to continue showing up even when you felt disconnected. And I am not overlooking that, but I do not want you to continue believing that this is all there is. You were not created to only endure. You were created to experience connection, truth, and peace. But for that to happen, something inside you must begin to open again. And I know that is not easy, because opening again means becoming vulnerable again. It means allowing the possibility of being seen. It means risking disappointment. And part of you wants to avoid that. Part of you says it is safer to stay guarded, to expect less, to not depend on anything too deeply. But my child, staying closed also keeps you from receiving what is meant for you. You cannot experience real connection if you are always protecting yourself from it. You cannot feel truly understood if you never allow yourself to be known. So I am not asking you to open completely all at once. I am asking you to begin with small steps. Stop by being honest with yourself. Stop by acknowledging what you truly feel instead of pushing it aside. Start by allowing yourself to recognize your own needs without judging them. This is where connection begins. Not outside, but within. Because when you understand yourself, you begin to express yourself more clearly. And when you express yourself more clearly, the right connections begin to form naturally. My child, there are people and moments ahead of you that will feel different from what you have experienced before. But you will not recognize them if you stay closed. So preparation also means becoming willing again. Willing to feel, willing to trust slowly, willing to allow something new to enter your life. And this does not mean you will never be hurt again. But it does mean you will no longer live only in protection. You will begin to live with awareness and openness together. And that is where balance is found. My child, you are not meant to do life completely alone, even when it has felt that way. Even when it seemed like no one fully understood, there is more for you than that, and I am guiding you toward it, step by step. But you must stay present. You must continue to listen. You must allow this process to unfold without rushing it or shutting it down, because what is forming inside you right now is important. It is preparing you not just to hear me, but to recognize truth in your daily life, to move differently, to see differently, to respond differently. And that will change everything. My child, before we go further, I want you to respond again. If you are ready to open your heart, even a little, type, "My heart is open," in the comments. Let that be your quiet step toward connection, toward honesty, toward something new. And if these words are bringing you comfort, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this message with someone who may be feeling alone in silence. And if you feel supported by these messages and want to help continue this work, you can support this ministry through the link given below. Your support allows these words to keep reaching those who need them. Now stay with me, because what I will show you next will help you understand your worth in a deeper way. My child, remain here with me. You have been listening, and something inside you is becoming more aware. You may not fully understand it yet, but you can feel a difference. There is a quiet shift happening within you. That shift is important, because for a long time, you have been disconnected from your own worth. Not completely, but enough to affect how you think, how you feel, and how you move through your life. You have questioned your value in subtle ways, not always directly, but in how you compare yourself to others, and how you downplay your strengths, and how you focus more on what is missing than on what is already present within you. You have looked at others and thought they are more confident, more capable, more deserving. And slowly, without realizing it, you placed yourself behind them. My child, I want you to see something clearly. You have been measuring yourself through a limited view. You have been focusing on certain outcomes, certain traits, certain expectations, and using those to define your worth. But your worth is not built on comparison. It is not built on how much you achieve, how perfect you appear, or how others respond to you. Your worth is already established. It is not something you earn. It is something you carry. And yet, you have been living as if you need to prove it. You have been trying to justify your place, your value, your existence. You have been asking, without saying it directly, "Am I enough?" My child, listen carefully. You are enough, even before you improve anything. You are enough, even while you are still growing. You are enough, even when you feel uncertain. This does not mean you stop growing. It means you stop rejecting yourself while you grow, because that rejection has been holding you back more than anything else. When you reject yourself, you lose clarity. When you reject yourself, you hesitate. When you reject yourself, you limit what you allow into your life. But when you begin to accept yourself, something changes. You become more steady. You become more confident in your decisions. You become more open to opportunities and connections. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer standing against yourself. My child, I want you to notice how often you dismiss your own progress. You move forward, but you do not acknowledge it. You improve, but you say it is not enough. You handle situations better than before, but you still focus on what went wrong. This pattern keeps you from seeing your own growth. And if you cannot see your growth, you will always feel like you are stuck. But you are not stuck. You are evolving, even in ways you have not fully recognized. Think about where you were before. Think about how you used to respond, how you used to think, how you used to handle certain situations. You are not the same. There has been change. But you have been too focused on perfection to notice progress. My child, progress is what matters. Step by step, moment by moment. That is how real growth happens. So I want you to begin shifting your focus. Instead of asking, why am I not there yet? Begin asking, how have I grown so far? Instead of saying, this is not enough, begin saying, this is a step forward. This does not mean settling. It means recognizing reality. And reality is that you are moving, even if it feels slow. My child, there is something else I want you to understand. You have been waiting for external confirmation. You have been waiting for someone to tell you that you are doing well, that you are enough, that you are on the right path. And when that confirmation does not come, you begin to doubt yourself. But you cannot build your worth on external validation, because it will always be inconsistent. Some people will recognize you, some will not. Some will appreciate you, some will misunderstand you. If your sense of worth depends on others, it will always feel unstable. That is why you must begin to build it from within. Not from ego, not from arrogance, but from truth. The truth that your value is not determined by others. The truth that your journey is unique. The truth that your growth is real, even if it is quiet. My child, this is part of your preparation. Learning to stand in your worth without needing constant confirmation. Learning to move forward without needing constant approval. Learning to trust yourself, even when others do not fully understand your path. And this will not happen overnight, but it begins now. With awareness, with small shifts in how you think and speak to yourself, with a willingness to stop diminishing who you are. My child, as you listen, something is becoming clearer. You are beginning to see yourself differently. Even if it is only a small change, it matters, because small changes create lasting transformation. So do not ignore this. Stay with it. Let it grow. And before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to start seeing your worth more clearly, type, I see my value in the comments. Let that be your declaration, not for others, but for yourself. And if this message is helping you understand yourself better, share it with someone who might need this reminder. Now, stay with me, because I am guiding you deeper into truth, and what comes next will help you release what has been holding you back. My child, stay present with me. You have come this far, and I want you to notice something deeper now. You are not just listening anymore. You are beginning to recognize parts of yourself that you have avoided for a long time. That is not easy, because when truth begins to surface, it does not always feel comfortable. Sometimes it brings awareness to things you tried to ignore. Sometimes it shows you patterns you did not want to admit. But this is not to overwhelm you. This is to free you, my child. There is something you have been holding on to that is quietly affecting your life. It is not always visible, but it shapes how you think, how you feel, and how you respond. It is the weight of your past, not just what happened, but what you made it mean about yourself. You remember certain moments, situations that did not go the way you hoped, times when you felt hurt, misunderstood, or disappointed, and those moments stayed with you, not only as memories, but as meanings. You told yourself things like, I should have done better, or I was not enough, or I cannot trust easily again. And without realizing it, those meanings became part of how you see yourself today. My child, your past has influenced you, but it does not define you. What happened is real. What you felt is valid. But the conclusions you made are not always true. Pain has a way of creating conclusions that feel convincing but are incomplete. It takes one experience and turns it into a belief. It takes one mistake and turns it into an identity. It takes one disappointment and turns it into an expectation for the future. And you have been carrying some of those beliefs quietly. You may not say them out loud, but they appear in your thoughts, in your hesitation, in your doubts. So now, I want you to begin noticing them. When you hesitate, ask yourself why. When you doubt yourself, ask where that doubt comes from. When you expect something to go wrong, ask what past moment is influencing that expectation. This is not to blame yourself. This is to understand yourself. Because once you understand, you can begin to release what no longer serves you. My child, you do not need to carry every meaning you created in the past. You are allowed to let them go. You are allowed to outgrow old beliefs. You are allowed to see your past differently. This does not erase what happened, but it changes how it lives inside you. Instead of seeing your past as proof that something is wrong with you, you can begin to see it as part of your learning. Instead of seeing your past as something that limits you, you can begin to see it as something that shaped your awareness. My child, there is strength in what you have been through, not because it was easy, but because you are still here, still growing, still seeking truth. That matters, and I want you to stop overlooking that. You have survived things you rarely talk about. You have handled situations that tested you. You have continued moving forward even when you felt uncertain. That is not weakness. That is resilience. But you have not always recognized it. Instead, you focused on what went wrong. You focused on what you could have done differently. You focused on what you felt you lacked. My child, it is time to balance that view. Yes, there were mistakes. Yes, there were moments you had handled differently now. But there was also strength. There was also effort. There was also growth. And you must begin to see all of it, not just one side. Because when you only focus on what went wrong, you create a distorted image of yourself. But when you see the full picture, you begin to understand your true capacity. My child, part of preparing to talk with me is releasing the weight of self-judgment. You have been carrying it for too long. You have been replaying moments, criticizing yourself, holding on to regret, and that has kept you stuck in a cycle. But you do not need to stay there. You can learn without condemning yourself. You can grow without punishing yourself. You can move forward without dragging the past behind you. This is your next step. Not forgetting, but releasing. Not ignoring, but transforming. My child, I want you to imagine something. Imagine if you stopped holding your past against yourself. Imagine if you allowed yourself to move forward without constantly looking back with regret. Imagine how different your energy would feel, how much lighter your thoughts would become, how much more open you would be to new possibilities. This is not far from you, but it requires a decision to stop defining yourself by what is behind you, a decision to see yourself through a more truthful lens, and that decision begins now. Not perfectly, not completely, but intentionally. My child, as you sit with this, something inside you may resist, but releasing self-judgment does not remove wisdom. It strengthens it, because you are no longer learning from fear. You are learning from clarity, and clarity leads to better choices than fear ever could. So trust this process. You are not losing control. You are gaining freedom, and that freedom will allow you to move forward with more confidence and peace. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to release the weight of your past, even a little, type, "I release the past," in the comments. Let that be your first step toward freedom. And if this message is helping you see yourself more clearly, share it with someone who may also be holding on to their past in silence. My child, remain here and listen closely. You have been letting go of certain thoughts, certain pressures, certain weights you did not even realize you were carrying. And now, as that space begins to open within you, something new can enter. This is where many people turn back. They release something, but when the space feels unfamiliar, they rush to fill it again with the same patterns, the same distractions, the same doubts. Do not do that. Stay with this space, because this space is where truth begins to settle. My child, I want to speak to you about your present moment, not your past, which you have been holding on to, not your future, which you keep trying to control, but your present. This is where your life is actually happening. And yet, this is where you spend the least time. You are often thinking about what already happened or what might happen next. You replay, you plan, you imagine, you worry. But in doing so, you disconnect from what is happening now. And when you disconnect from the present, you lose clarity. You lose awareness. You lose the ability to respond with intention. My child, your present moment is powerful. Not because everything is perfect, but because it is the only place where change can actually occur. You cannot change your past. You cannot control your future completely, but you can choose how you respond right now. That choice may seem small, but it shapes everything. It shapes your thoughts, it shapes your actions, it shapes your direction. So I want you to begin returning to the present more often, not in a forced way, but in a conscious way. When your mind starts replaying something, gently bring it back. When your thoughts start rushing ahead, pause and return. Notice where you are. Notice what you are doing. Notice how you feel. This is not a technique. This is awareness, and awareness brings you back to yourself. My child, you have been living partially disconnected from yourself. Not completely, but enough to create confusion. You feel things, but you do not always fully acknowledge them. You think things, but you do not always question them. You move through your day, but you are not always fully present in it, and this creates a sense of emptiness, a sense that something is missing. But what is missing is not outside you. It is your presence within your own life. My child, when you return to the present, something changes. You begin to notice details you overlooked. You begin to understand your emotions more clearly. You begin to respond instead of react. And slowly, your life starts to feel more real, more grounded. This is part of your preparation, because you cannot hear clearly if your mind is constantly somewhere else. You cannot recognize guidance if you are not fully present. So begin practicing this in simple ways. When you are doing something, give your attention to it. When you are speaking to someone, be fully there. When you are alone, do not rush to escape that moment. Stay with it. Let yourself feel it. This is how you reconnect. My child, I also want you to understand something about peace. You have been searching for peace as if it is something you must find somewhere else. You think that once your problems are solved, once your life is more stable, once everything is clear, then you will feel peace. But peace does not come from perfect conditions. Peace comes from presence. It comes from being fully here without resistance. It comes from accepting this moment as it is while still moving forward with intention. This does not mean you stop improving your life. It means you stop fighting every moment as if it is not enough. Because that constant resistance creates tension, and that tension blocks peace. My child, peace is available to you even now. Not complete, not constant, but present in moments. You have felt it before, in small ways, in quiet moments, in brief pauses where everything felt still. Those moments were real, and they can grow. But only if you allow yourself to stay present long enough to experience them. My child, you do not need to wait for everything to be perfect to feel peace. You need to begin noticing what is already here. A calm breath, a quiet moment, a clear thought. These are small, but they matter, because they build something steady within you, and that steadiness will guide you forward. My child, as you continue listening, you are learning to return to yourself. Not through force, but through awareness. Not through pressure, but through presence. And this will change how you experience your life. So stay here. Stay with this moment. Do not rush ahead. Do not go back. Be here, now, with me. And before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to be more present in your life, type "I am present" in the comments. Let that be your reminder to return to this moment whenever your mind begins to wander. And if this message is helping you feel more grounded, share it with someone who may need to slow down and reconnect. My child, stay with me and listen even more deeply now. You have begun to slow down. You have started to release some of the weight you are carrying. You are becoming more aware, more present, more open. But now we must go further, because there is something within you that still needs to be understood clearly. It is the way you see your future. My child, you have been approaching your future with uncertainty and quiet fear, not always in obvious ways, but in subtle thoughts that shape your expectations. You think about what is ahead, and instead of feeling possibility, you often feel pressure. You wonder if things will work out. You question whether you will make the right decisions. You imagine what could go wrong before you allow yourself to imagine what could go right. And this has created a pattern where your future feels heavy before it even arrives. My child, your future is not meant to feel like a burden. It is meant to feel like a path that unfolds step by step, not all at once. But you have been trying to see the entire path before taking the next step. You want certainty before movement. You want guarantees before action. You want to know the outcome before you begin. And because of that, you hesitate. You delay. You remain in place longer than you need to, not because you are incapable, but because you are waiting for clarity that only comes through movement. My child, clarity does not come before action. It comes through action. You understand more as you move. You learn more as you experience. You grow more as you step forward. But when you stay still, waiting for everything to make sense first, you remain in confusion. So I am guiding you to shift your approach. Instead of asking, what will happen next? Begin asking, what is my next step? That is all you need to focus on. Not the entire future. Just the next step. Because your life is not built in one moment. It is built through many small decisions. And each decision leads you forward. My child, I also want you to see how often you doubt your ability to handle what comes next. But you are forgetting something important. You have already handled many things before this moment. Things you once thought would be difficult. Things you once felt unsure about. And yet, you moved through them. You adapted. You learned. You continued. So why do you assume that your future will be something you cannot handle? That assumption is not based on truth. It is based on fear. And fear focuses only on what could go wrong, not on your ability to respond. My child, you are more capable than you give yourself credit for, not because you know everything, but because you are able to learn, adjust, and grow as needed. That is your strength, and that strength will continue to support you. So instead of doubting your future, begin trusting your ability to meet it, not perfectly, but effectively, step by step. My child, there is another reason your future feels uncertain. You have been comparing your timeline to others. You see where they are, what they have achieved, how they appear, and you measure yourself against that. You think you should be further ahead. You think you should have more clarity by now. You think you should already have things figured out. But your life is not meant to follow someone else's timeline. Your journey is not a copy of anyone else's path. You are moving through your own process, at your own pace, for your own purpose. And when you compare, you lose focus on that. You create unnecessary pressure. You create unnecessary doubt. So release that comparison. Return your focus to your own path, because that is where your energy belongs. My child, your future is not something to fear. It is something to step into, not all at once, but gradually, with awareness, with intention, with trust. And trust does not mean you will never feel uncertain. It means you continue moving forward even when you do. That is what builds confidence. Not waiting for fear to disappear, but learning to move with it without letting it control you. My child, as you listen, something inside you is becoming more steady. You are beginning to understand that you do not need all the answers right now. You are beginning to see that your path will become clear as you walk it. And that realization is important, because it frees you from the pressure of needing certainty before action. It allows you to move forward with more ease. So stay with this understanding. Let it guide you. Let it shape how you think about what comes next. Because your future is not something distant. It is being created by what you do now, by the choices you make, by the steps you take. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to move forward without needing to know everything, type, "I take the next step," in the comments. Let that be your commitment to progress, not perfection. And if this message is helping you feel more confident about your path, share it with someone who may be feeling stuck or uncertain. My child, stay close and listen with your full attention. You have come through many layers now. You have looked at your past, your thoughts, your present, and even your future. You are beginning to understand yourself in a deeper way. But now, I want to bring you to something even more important. Your inner voice. My child, there is a voice inside you that speaks constantly. Sometimes it is loud, sometimes it is quiet, sometimes it feels like guidance, sometimes it feels like pressure. And for a long time you have been listening to it without questioning where it comes from. That is where confusion begins, because not every voice inside you is truth. Some of those voices were shaped by past experiences. Some were formed by what others said to you. Some came from fear, from doubt, from moments when you felt uncertain or hurt. And over time, those voices started to sound like your own. So you accepted them. When the voice said, "You are not ready," you believed it. When it said, "You might fail," you stepped back. When it said, "Others are better," you compared yourself. My child, I want you to become aware of this, because awareness is what separates truth from noise. Not every thought deserves your agreement. Not every inner voice deserves your trust. You must begin to listen carefully. There is a difference between a voice that guides you and a voice that limits you. The voice that guides you is calm. It is steady. It does not rush you or shame you. The voice that limits you creates pressure. It creates fear. It makes you feel small or uncertain. You have been listening more to the second one, and that is why you have felt stuck at times. But now, you are learning to recognize the difference. My child, my voice within you is not harsh. It does not speak with judgment. It does not tell you that you are not enough. It does not push you into fear. My voice brings clarity. It brings peace, even when you are unsure. It brings direction without pressure. So when you hear something inside you that feels heavy, critical, or limiting, pause. Do not immediately accept it. Ask yourself, is this guiding me or holding me back? This question will begin to change everything, because it creates space between you and your thoughts. And in that space, you can choose what to follow. My child, you have more control than you realize. Not over every thought that appears, but over what you give your attention to. And what you give your attention to grows. If you focus on doubt, doubt becomes stronger. If you focus on fear, fear becomes louder. But if you begin to focus on truth, on clarity, on steady guidance, something different begins to form within you. A stronger inner foundation, and that foundation will support you in ways you have been needing. My child, this is part of your preparation. Learning to listen differently, not reacting to every thought, but choosing which thoughts to follow. This is how you gain control over your direction, because your thoughts influence your actions, and your actions shape your life. So be mindful of what you allow to lead you. My child, there is another important truth. You have been seeking guidance outside, but you have not fully trusted what you feel inside. You second-guess yourself. You question your decisions. You hesitate even when something feels right. And this has made you feel uncertain. But you are not as lost as you think. There is already guidance within you. You just need to become quiet enough to recognize it. And that is what you are learning now. Through stillness, through awareness, through presence. The more you practice this, the clearer things will become. Not instantly, but gradually. And that clarity will help you make better decisions. Not perfect decisions, but aligned decisions. My child, you do not need to wait for everything to feel certain. You need to begin trusting what feels steady, not what feels urgent, not what feels pressured, but what feels calm and clear. That is where my guidance flows. So from now on, when you are unsure, do not rush. Pause. Listen. And notice what feels steady inside you. That is where your answer begins. My child, you are learning something powerful. You are learning how to guide yourself with awareness instead of confusion. And that will change your life, because when you learn to trust the right voice, you stop being controlled by the wrong ones. So stay with this. Practice it. Apply it in small moments, and you will begin to see the difference. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to listen to truth instead of doubt, type, "I choose truth" in the comments. Let that be your decision to follow what is steady, not what is fearful. And if these words are helping you gain clarity, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this message with someone who may be struggling with their thoughts. And if you feel supported by these messages and want to help continue this work, you can support this ministry through the link given below. Your support helps these words reach more hearts. Now, stay with me. My child, stay here and listen carefully again. You have been learning to slow down, to notice your thoughts, to release your past, and to trust your next step. You are beginning to see yourself more clearly, but now I want to show you something deeper: the way you treat yourself in your daily life. My child, this is something you do without always realizing it. It is not in big decisions, but in small moments. In how you speak to yourself when something goes wrong. In how you respond when you feel tired. In how you think about yourself when no one else is around. These small moments matter more than you think, because they shape your inner environment, and your inner environment shapes your entire life. My child, you have been treating yourself with pressure more than with patience. When you make a mistake, you are quick to correct yourself harshly. When you feel tired, you push yourself instead of understanding your limits. When something does not go as planned, you question yourself instead of supporting yourself. You have believed that this pressure will make you better, but it has only made you more tired. My child, growth does not come from constant pressure. It comes from balanced awareness. Yes, you must take responsibility. Yes, you must learn and improve. But you must also support yourself through that process, because if you are always against yourself, you will never feel steady. You will always feel like you are chasing something without reaching it. My child, I want you to begin changing how you respond to yourself, not in a dramatic way, but in simple, consistent ways. When you feel uncertain, instead of criticizing yourself, begin to remind yourself, it is okay to not have everything figured out. These small shifts will begin to change your inner world, and when your inner world changes, your outer life follows. My child, you have been waiting for things outside you to improve before you feel better. You thought that once your situation changes, once your results improve, once your life becomes more stable, then you will feel peace and confidence. But it works the other way. When you change how you treat yourself, your experience of life begins to change. You begin to feel more steady. You begin to think more clearly. You begin to act with more intention. And that creates better outcomes naturally. My child, this is part of your preparation, learning to become someone who supports yourself instead of someone who constantly pressures yourself, because you will always be with yourself, every moment, every decision, every situation. So the way you treat yourself matters more than anything else. My child, I also want you to see something important. You have been holding yourself to a very high standard, not always consciously, but deeply. You expect yourself to do things right. You expect yourself to understand quickly. You expect yourself to improve without struggle. And when you do not meet those expectations, you feel disappointed. But those expectations are not always realistic. Growth takes time. Understanding takes time. Change takes time. And you are allowed that time. You are allowed to move at a human pace, not a perfect pace, a real pace. My child, when you begin to accept this, something shifts inside you. You stop rushing. You stop forcing. You begin to move with more ease. And that ease allows you to grow more effectively. Because you are no longer working against yourself. You are working with yourself. My child, I want you to become aware of your tone, not just what you say to others, but what you say to yourself. Is your tone harsh or supportive? Is it impatient or understanding? Is it critical or balanced? This awareness will help you make changes, because once you notice something, you can choose differently. And choice is where your power lies. My child, you do not need to change everything at once. You just need to begin. One thought at a time, one response at a time, one moment at a time. This is how transformation happens. Slowly, steadily, and in a way that lasts. My child, you are not behind. You are in the process. And this process is shaping you in ways you will understand more clearly later. So do not rush it. Do not fight it. Move with it. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to treat yourself with more patience and understanding, type, "I choose kindness" in the comments. Let that be your decision to change how you speak to yourself, starting today. And if this message is helping you become more aware of yourself, share it with someone who may also need this reminder. My child, stay steady and listen closely again. You are beginning to understand yourself in a deeper way. You are noticing your thoughts, your patterns, your reactions. You are learning to slow down and respond differently. But now, I want to strengthen something within you. Your inner stability. My child, life around you will not always be calm. Situations will change. People will change. Outcomes will not always match your expectations. There will be moments that feel uncertain, uncomfortable, even overwhelming. And in those moments, what matters most is not what is happening outside you. It is what remains steady inside you. My child, you have often depended on external conditions to feel stable. When things go well, you feel calm. When things become uncertain, you feel unsettled. When people respond positively, you feel confident. When they do not, you begin to question yourself. This has made your emotional state dependent on circumstances, and that has made you feel unstable at times. But I want to guide you towards something stronger, a stability that comes from within, not from controlling everything outside, but from grounding yourself inside. My child, inner stability is not about never feeling emotions. It is not about being unaffected. It is about remaining centered even while you feel. It is about not losing yourself when things become uncertain. It is about being able to pause, breathe, and respond instead of reacting immediately. And this is something you can develop, step by step, moment by moment. My child, think about how you respond when something unexpected happens. Do you react quickly? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you begin to imagine the worst? These reactions are not your fault. They are patterns you have developed over time. But now you are becoming aware of them. And awareness gives you the ability to change them. My child, the next time something feels uncertain, I want you to pause. Not for a long time, just a moment. Take a breath. Create a small space between what happens and how you respond. In that space, you will find something important. Choice. Instead of reacting automatically, you can choose how to respond. You can choose to stay calm instead of rushing into fear. You can choose to observe instead of immediately judging the situation. You can choose to move with clarity instead of pressure. This is how stability begins, not by controlling events, but by guiding your response. My child, you have more control over your response than you realize. And when you begin to use that control, your experience of life changes. Situations that once felt overwhelming begin to feel manageable. Moments that once caused confusion begin to feel clearer. Not because everything becomes easy, but because you become steady. My child, I also want you to understand something important. You do not need to have everything figured out to remain stable. You only need to remain present and aware. You have been waiting for certainty before feeling calm. But calm does not come from certainty. It comes from trust. Trust that you can handle what comes. Trust that you can respond step by step. Trust that you do not need all the answers right now. This trust builds stability, and stability builds confidence. My child, confidence is not about knowing everything. It is about trusting yourself enough to face what you do not know. And you are capable of that. You have already faced many things you once thought would be difficult. You have already adapted in ways you did not expect. So, do not underestimate yourself. You are stronger than you think. But now, you must learn to use that strength with awareness, not through pressure, not through force, but through calm, steady presence. My child, this is your next level of preparation. Becoming stable within yourself, so that no matter what happens around you, you remain grounded. Not perfect, not unaffected, but steady. And that steadiness will guide you through everything. My child, as you continue this journey, remember this. You do not need to react to everything immediately. You can pause. You can breathe. You can choose. This is your power. And the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to build inner stability, type, "I am steady," in the comments. Let that be your reminder that your strength comes from within, not from circumstances. And if this message is helping you feel more grounded, share it with someone who may need stability in their life. My child, stay with me and listen. With a deeper openness now, you are becoming more aware, more steady, more present. You are learning how to respond instead of react, how to see yourself with more clarity, how to release what has been holding you back. But now, I want to guide you into something that will shape your entire path ahead. Your decisions. My child, every day you make choices. Some small, some significant, some without much thought, and some with deep hesitation. And over time, these choices create the direction of your life. But you have often approached decisions with uncertainty and pressure. You overthink. You question every option. You worry about making the wrong move. And sometimes, because of that, you delay. You stay in the same place. Not because you want to, but because you are unsure of what to do next. My child, I want to change how you see decisions. A decision is not something to fear. It is something to use. It is a tool that moves you forward, even if it is not perfect, even if it does not lead exactly where you expected. Every decision teaches you something. Every step gives you clarity. Every movement helps you grow. But when you avoid decisions, you remain stuck in the same place, and that creates more confusion. My child, you do not need perfect clarity to make a decision. You need enough awareness to take the next step. That is all. Not the whole path, just the next step. And when you take that step, the next one becomes clearer. This is how direction is formed, not through waiting, but through movement. My child, you have been waiting too long in certain areas of your life, waiting for the right moment, waiting for certainty, waiting to feel completely ready. But that moment may never come in the way you expect, because readiness is not a feeling that appears suddenly. It is something that develops as you act. You become ready by moving forward, not by waiting. My child, I want you to begin trusting your ability to decide. Not perfectly, but honestly. When you are faced with a choice, pause. Do not rush. But also, do not stay stuck in endless thinking. Not what feels perfect. Not what guarantees success, but what feels aligned with your current understanding, and then move. Because movement brings clarity, and clarity brings confidence. My child, there is another reason you hesitate. You are afraid of consequences. But listen carefully. Every path has challenges. Even the right path will test you. Even the best decisions will require effort and adjustment. So the goal is not to avoid difficulty. The goal is to choose a direction that allows you to grow through it. My child, you are strong enough to handle challenges. You do not need to avoid them completely. You need to face them with awareness and steadiness. And that is what you are learning. So stop expecting a path without obstacles. Instead, choose a path where you can grow, because growth is what leads you forward. My child, I also want you to release the idea that one wrong decision will ruin everything. Your life is not that fragile. You are not one step away from failure. You are on a journey that includes many steps, many adjustments, many corrections. Even if you take a step that does not lead where you expected, you can learn, adjust, and continue. You are not stuck. You are not trapped. You are able to move, to shift, to redirect. So do not give your decisions more fear than they deserve. Give them awareness. Give them intention, and then move forward. My child, the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to feel less pressure. You begin to move with more confidence. Not because everything is certain, but because you are no longer afraid to act. And that changes everything. My child, your life is waiting for your participation, not your hesitation, not your constant questioning, your participation. So step forward, in small ways, in simple ways, but consistently. Because consistency builds direction, and direction builds purpose. My child, you are not meant to stay in one place forever. You are meant to grow, to move, to experience, to learn. And that begins with your willingness to decide. So take your next step. Trust yourself enough to move. And know that you are not alone in this process. I am guiding you, even when you do not see it clearly. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to stop overthinking and start moving forward, type "I move forward" in the comments. Let that be your commitment to action, even if it is small. And if this message is helping you feel more confident in your decisions, share it with someone who may be feeling stuck in hesitation. My child, stay here with me and listen with calm attention. You are learning how to move forward, how to decide, how to release fear and hesitation. You are beginning to understand that your path is shaped by your steps, not by waiting for perfect clarity. But now, I want to guide you into something that will protect your peace as you move forward, your boundaries. My child, this is something you have struggled with quietly. You want to be kind. You want to be understanding. You want to be there for others. And these are good qualities. But in trying to be all of this, you have sometimes forgotten to take care of yourself. You have said yes when you felt no. You have stayed silent when something did not feel right. You have allowed situations that drained your energy because you did not want to disappoint others. And slowly, this has affected your inner balance. My child, kindness does not mean losing yourself. Understanding does not mean accepting everything. Being there for others does not mean neglecting your own needs. There must be balance. And that balance comes through boundaries. My child, a boundary is not rejection. It is clarity. It is a way of saying, this is what I can give, and this is where I need to protect my energy. But you have sometimes felt guilty for setting boundaries. You thought that saying no makes you selfish. You thought that stepping back makes you uncaring. You thought that protecting your time or energy makes you less kind. But that is not true. A healthy boundary allows you to remain steady. Without it, you become overwhelmed. Without it, you give more than you can sustain. Without it, you begin to feel drained, frustrated, and disconnected. My child, you cannot continue giving from a place of exhaustion. You must also give to yourself, and that begins with honesty. When something feels too much, acknowledge it. When something does not feel right, recognize it. When you need rest, allow it. This is not weakness. This is awareness. And awareness leads to balance. My child, I want you to begin paying attention to how you feel in different situations. Not just what you think, but what you feel. Do certain interactions leave you energized or drained? Do certain environments bring you peace or tension? Do certain patterns repeat in ways that affect your well-being? These are signs, and you must not ignore them, because your feelings are guiding you toward what needs to change. My child, setting boundaries does not mean you push people away. It means you create space where respect, clarity, and balance can exist. It means you show others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you constantly ignore your own limits, others will not recognize them either. But when you begin to honor your limits, something changes. Your relationships become clearer. Your energy becomes more stable. Your mind becomes less overwhelmed. My child, this will feel uncomfortable at first, because you are used to saying yes. You are used to adjusting yourself. You are used to prioritizing others before yourself. So when you begin to change this pattern, it may feel unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean wrong. It means new. And new is part of growth. My child, you are allowed to take care of yourself. You are allowed to choose what you give your time and energy to. You are allowed to step back when needed. And you are allowed to do this without guilt. Because when you take care of yourself, you become stronger. You become clearer. You become more capable of giving in a healthy way. My child, I also want you to understand this. Not everyone will understand your boundaries. Some people may resist them. Some may question them. But that does not mean you are wrong. It simply means they are used to a different version of you. And as you grow, your boundaries will reflect that growth. So do not go back to old patterns just to keep others comfortable. Stay aligned with what is right for you, because your peace matters. Your balance matters. Your well-being matters. My child, you are not here to live a life where you constantly feel drained. You are here to live with awareness, strength, and balance. And boundaries are part of that. So begin slowly. You do not need to change everything at once. Start with small moments, small decisions, small shifts, and over time, those small changes will create a stronger, more stable life. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to respect your own limits and protect your peace, type, "I honor my boundaries" in the comments. Let that be your decision to take care of yourself with clarity and strength. And if this message is helping you understand your needs better, share it with someone who may also need to hear this. My child, stay with me and listen with a quiet heart. You have been learning how to protect your peace, how to set boundaries, how to move forward with awareness. You are beginning to understand that your life is not meant to feel constantly heavy. But now I want to speak to you about something that has been quietly shaping your energy every day. Your focus. My child, where you place your attention matters more than you realize. Because your focus becomes your experience. What you think about repeatedly begins to feel real. What you give your attention to begins to grow in your awareness. And without noticing, you have been focusing more on what is wrong than on what is working. You think about what is missing. You notice what is not going as planned. You replay what could have been better. And this has created a pattern in your mind. A pattern that keeps you feeling dissatisfied, even when there are good things present. My child, I am not saying you should ignore problems. I am saying you must balance your focus. Because when you only focus on what is lacking, you lose sight of what is already present. And that creates a feeling of emptiness. But when you begin to notice both, something shifts. You begin to feel more grounded, more aware, more steady. My child, there are things in your life right now that you are not appreciating. Not because they are not valuable, but because you have become used to them. Your mind has moved past them and is searching for what is next. But if you pause, you will see. There are moments of calm. There are small wins. There are signs of progress. There are things that support you quietly. But you must notice them, because what you notice grows. My child, this is where gratitude begins. Not forced, not exaggerated, but real. Simple recognition of what is already there. Gratitude does not mean everything is perfect. It means you are aware of what is good, even while you continue to grow. And this awareness changes your energy. It softens your thoughts. It brings balance to your perspective. It reminds you that not everything is missing. My child, you have been waiting to feel satisfied once everything improves. But satisfaction begins with awareness of what is already present. It grows as you continue moving forward, not after everything is complete. So I want you to begin practicing this. Each day, notice something that is working, something that went well, something that supported you. It does not need to be big. It can be small, but it must be real, because this practice trains your mind to see more than just problems. It creates balance, and balance creates peace. My child, there is another side to your focus. You have been giving too much attention to things that drain you, certain thoughts, certain situations, certain people. You revisit them again and again in your mind. You think about what happened. You imagine different outcomes. You hold on to things that have already passed. And this keeps your energy tied to what is no longer helping you. My child, you must learn to redirect your focus, not by force, but by choice. When you notice your mind returning to something that drains you, gently shift it. Bring your attention back to what matters now. Bring it back to what supports you. Bring it back to what you can act on. This is not avoidance. This is guidance. You are choosing where your energy goes, and that choice shapes your experience. My child, your mind will not change instantly. It has patterns. It has habits. But with awareness and practice, those patterns can shift, and as they shift, your life will begin to feel different, lighter, clearer, more balanced. My child, this is part of your preparation. Learning to direct your focus with intention, not letting it wander into what drains you, but guiding it toward what strengthens you. And this will help you in every area of your life. Your thoughts will become more supportive. Your emotions will become more stable. Your actions will become more aligned. And over time, this creates a new way of living. My child, you are not powerless in your experience. You are participating in it through your focus. So begin to use that power wisely. Notice what you are thinking about. Notice where your attention goes, and gently guide it where it needs to be. This is how you take control of your inner world. And when your inner world becomes balanced, your outer life begins to reflect that. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to focus on what strengthens you instead of what drains you, type, "I choose my focus," in the comments. Let that be your commitment to guide your thoughts with awareness. With awareness. And if these words are helping you feel more balanced, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this message with someone who may need this reminder. And if you feel supported by these messages and want to help continue this work, you can support this ministry through the link given below. Your support helps these words reach more people who need them. My child, stay here with me and listen with steady attention. You are learning how to guide your focus, how to protect your peace, how to move forward with awareness. You are beginning to understand that your inner world shapes your outer experience. But now I want to take you deeper into something that will strengthen you every single day. Your consistency. My child, you have had moments of clarity before. Moments where you felt strong, motivated, and ready to change. Moments where you understood what you needed to do and felt prepared to move forward. But then, something happened. That clarity faded. That motivation decreased, and you returned to old patterns. This has made you question yourself. You wondered why you cannot stay consistent. You wondered why you start strong, but then lose momentum. You wondered if something is wrong with you. My child, nothing is wrong with you. You are simply expecting consistency to come from feeling instead of from choice. Feelings change. Motivation rises and falls. Energy shifts depending on your circumstances. But consistency is not built on feeling. It is built on decision. It is built on small actions repeated over time. My child, You have been waiting to feel ready every day before you act, but readiness is not always a feeling. Sometimes it is a decision you make, even when you do not feel fully prepared. And that is what creates real progress. My child, you do not need to do everything at once. You do not need to make big changes immediately. You need to focus on small, repeatable actions. Actions that you can continue even on difficult days, because those small actions build momentum, and momentum builds consistency. My child, think about one area in your life where you want to improve. You may have already tried to change it before. You may have started strong and then stopped, but this time I want you to approach it differently. Do not aim for perfection. Do not aim for intensity. Aim for consistency. Choose one small step, something simple, something realistic, and commit to it, not just when you feel motivated, but especially when you do not. Because that is where consistency is built. My child, you have been measuring your progress based on how you feel, but feelings are not always reliable indicators of growth. Some days you will feel strong, some days you will feel tired, some days you will feel uncertain, but your actions can remain steady through all of that. And that steadiness is what creates lasting change. My child, there is another reason you struggle with consistency. You expect quick results. You want to see immediate improvement. You want to feel like your efforts are working right away. And when that does not happen, you begin to lose motivation. But real growth takes time. It builds slowly, often without immediate visible results. And this is where patience becomes important. You must trust the process, even when you do not see instant change. Because what you are building is not temporary. You are building something that will last. My child, consistency is not about being perfect every day. It is about returning. Returning after you miss a step. Returning after you feel tired. Returning after you lose focus. Each time you return, you strengthen your commitment. And that matters more than never making mistakes. My child, do not let one missed moment become a reason to stop. Do not let one difficult day become a reason to give up. Continue. Adjust. Move forward again. That is how consistency grows. My child, you are capable of this. Not because it is easy, but because you are willing to learn and adapt. And that willingness is enough to begin. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for perfect energy. Start where you are, with what you have. And move forward in small, steady steps. My child, as you practice this, something will change inside you. You will begin to trust yourself more. You will see that you can follow through. You will feel more stable in your actions. And that will build confidence. Not from thinking, but from doing. My child, this is part of your preparation. Becoming someone who acts consistently, not occasionally. Because consistency creates results. Consistency creates growth. Consistency creates change. And that is what you are building now. So stay with it. Do not rush. Do not compare. Just continue. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to stay consistent, even when you do not feel like it, type "I stay consistent" in the comments. Let that be your commitment to steady action. And if this message is helping you stay focused on your growth, share it with someone who may need encouragement to keep going. My child, stay here with me and listen with full awareness. You are learning to stay consistent, to move forward step by step, to act even when your feelings change. You are beginning to understand that your growth depends on your actions, not just your emotions. But now I want to strengthen something even deeper within you, your discipline. My child, discipline is something you have misunderstood. You have often seen it as something strict, something difficult, something that requires constant force and pressure. You thought discipline meant pushing yourself hard every day without rest, without flexibility, without understanding. And because of that, you resisted it. You avoided it. You felt like it was too heavy to maintain. But that is not true discipline. Real discipline is not about force. It is about alignment. It is about choosing what supports you again and again, even when it feels easier to do something else. My child, discipline is not your enemy. It is your support system. It is what keeps you moving when motivation fades. It is what keeps you focused when distractions appear. It is what keeps you steady when your emotions fluctuate. Without discipline, you depend on how you feel, and feelings change constantly. But with discipline, you create structure, and structure creates stability. My child, you do not need harsh discipline. You need supportive discipline, discipline that understands your limits but still guides you forward. Discipline that is steady, not extreme. Discipline that is consistent, not temporary. This is what you must begin building. My child, think about your daily habits. What you do each day shapes your life. Not what you plan, not what you think about, but what you actually do. And right now, some of your habits are helping you, and some are holding you back. But you do not need to change everything at once. You need to start with awareness. Notice your patterns. Notice what you repeat daily. Notice what supports you and what drains you. This awareness will show you where to begin. My child, once you see your patterns, choose one thing to improve. Not many, just one. Make it simple, make it realistic, and commit to it. This is where discipline begins. Not with big changes, but with small, consistent actions. My child, there will be moments when you feel resistance. Moments when you want to delay. Moments when you feel like skipping what you committed to. This is normal. This is part of the process. But this is also where discipline is strengthened. Each time you choose to follow through, even when it feels difficult, you build trust with yourself, and that trust becomes your strength. My child, discipline is not about never struggling. It is about continuing despite the struggle. It is about choosing your long-term growth over your short-term comfort. And I know that is not always easy, but it is necessary, because comfort keeps you where you are. Growth requires movement. My child, you have been choosing comfort in certain areas for too long, not because you are weak, but because it felt easier. But now, you are ready for more. You are ready to move forward. You are ready to grow, and that requires discipline. But remember this, discipline is not punishment. It is guidance. It is a way of supporting your future self. Every time you choose to act with discipline, you are creating a better path for yourself. Every small action matters, even if it feels insignificant in the moment, because repeated actions create lasting change. My child, do not look for immediate results. Look for consistency. Do not measure your progress by one day. Measure it over time, because that is where real transformation happens. My child, you are capable of this. You have already shown that you can learn, adapt, and grow. Now you must apply that strength with discipline, not perfectly, but consistently. My child, as you continue, you will begin to notice something. Your actions will feel more natural. Your resistance will become smaller. Your confidence will grow, because you are proving to yourself that you can follow through. And that is powerful. So stay with this. Keep practicing. Keep choosing what supports you, even in small ways, because those small ways lead to big changes. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to build discipline in your life, type "I build discipline" in the comments. Let that be your commitment to steady growth. And if this message is helping you take control of your habits, share it with someone who may need this encouragement. My child, stay here with me and listen with a calm and open mind. You are building consistency. You are learning discipline. You are becoming more aware of your actions and your direction. You are beginning to take control of your life in ways you did not before. But now, I want to strengthen something that will protect all of this: your mindset during difficult moments. My child, it is easy to stay focused when things feel smooth. It is easy to stay consistent when you feel motivated. It is easy to stay disciplined when nothing is challenging you. But your true strength is revealed when things do not go as expected, when plans change, when results are delayed, when situations become uncomfortable. That is where many people lose their progress, not because they are incapable, but because they are not prepared for difficulty. My child, difficulty is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is part of the path. Every step forward will bring some form of challenge. Every level of growth will require adjustment, and you must be ready for that. Not with fear, but with understanding. My child, when something difficult happens, your first reaction matters, because your reaction shapes your experience. If you react with frustration, your mind becomes clouded. If you react with fear, your thoughts become scattered. If you react with doubt, your confidence weakens. But if you pause, something different happens. You create space, and in that space, you can respond instead of react. My child, you have learned this before, but now you must apply it in deeper situations. When something does not go your way, pause. Take a breath. Do not rush to conclusions. Do not assume the worst. Just observe. Ask yourself what is really happening right now. Not what you fear, not what you imagine, but what is actually happening. This will bring clarity, and clarity will guide your next step. My child, you have often made situations heavier by adding unnecessary thoughts. You imagined outcomes before they happened. You assumed things would go wrong before giving them time, and this created stress that was not needed. But now, you are learning to see clearly, to respond based on reality, not fear. And that will change how you handle challenges. My child, there is something important you must understand. Not every difficult moment needs a big reaction. Some situations simply need patience. Some moments require you to wait, observe, and allow things to unfold. But you have been used to reacting quickly, trying to fix everything immediately, trying to control every outcome. And when that does not work, you feel frustrated. But not everything needs to be controlled. Some things need to be allowed. My child, patience is part of strength, not weakness. Strength is not always action. Sometimes strength is stillness. Sometimes strength is waiting without panic. Sometimes strength is trusting the process even when you do not see immediate results. My child, this is where your mindset must become steady. When things are unclear, stay calm. When things are delayed, stay patient. When things are difficult, stay aware, because your response determines your direction. My child, you are not meant to break under pressure. You are meant to grow through it. But growth requires the right mindset, not a mindset of fear, not a mindset of frustration, but a mindset of awareness, patience, and trust. My child, you have more strength than you realize, but you must learn to use it correctly, not by reacting to every challenge, but by responding with clarity. And that clarity will guide you through even the most difficult moments. My child, as you continue this journey, remember this. Challenges are not stopping you. They are shaping you. They are teaching you. They are strengthening you, but only if you respond with awareness. So do not fear difficulty. Do not avoid it completely. Face it with calm. Face it with clarity. Face it with trust, and you will move through it stronger than before. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to stay strong during difficult moments, type "I stay strong" in the comments. Let that be your commitment to respond with clarity instead of fear. And if this message is helping you handle challenges differently, share it with someone who may be struggling right now. My child, stay with me and listen with full attention now. You have come so far in this journey. You have learned to slow down, to understand yourself, to release your past, to focus your mind, to stay consistent, and to build discipline. You are not the same as when you began. Even if you do not fully see it yet, there has been change within you. And now, I want to guide you into something that will bring everything together. Your purpose. My child, you have thought about your purpose before, and sometimes Those questions made you feel confused because you were looking for one clear answer, one big sign, one perfect path. But your purpose is not something you discover all at once. It is something you build through how you live each day. My child, your purpose is not only about what you achieve. It is about how you live, how you think, how you act, and how you grow. It is reflected in your choices, in your consistency, in your discipline, in your awareness. Every step you take with intention is part of your purpose. But you have been waiting for something bigger, something clearer, something that tells you exactly what to do. And because of that, you have overlooked what is already in front of you. My child, your purpose begins where you are, not somewhere else, not in the future, right here, right now, in the way you handle your life, in the way you treat yourself and others, in the way you respond to challenges. This is where your purpose is forming. My child, you do not need to have everything figured out to live with purpose. You need to live with awareness, with intention, with honesty. That is what gives meaning to your actions. My child, there is something else you must understand. You have been underestimating your impact. You think that what you do is small. You think that your actions do not matter much. You think that you need something bigger to make a difference. But that is not true. Every action you take influences your life. Every decision shapes your path. Every moment of awareness changes your direction. And over time, these small actions create something significant. My child, do not wait to feel important. Do not wait for a big opportunity to begin. Start where you are. Use what you have. Move forward with intention, because your purpose grows through action, not through waiting. My child, you are not here by accident. Your life has meaning, even if it is not fully clear to you yet. Even if it feels simple, even if it feels ordinary, there is value in how you live. There is purpose in how you grow. There is meaning in your journey, and you are shaping that every day. My child, I want you to stop doubting whether your life matters. It does. Not because of what others say, not because of how it looks from the outside, but because you are here, learning, growing, and moving forward. That is enough. My child, you do not need to compare your purpose with anyone else. Their path is different. Their journey is different. Their timing is different. You must focus on your own, because that is where your energy belongs. My child, when you stay focused on your own path, something changes. You feel more clear. You feel more stable. You feel more aligned, because you are no longer trying to match someone else's direction. You are following your own. And that is where purpose becomes real. My child, purpose is not something distant. It is something you live through your actions, through your choices, through your mindset, and you are already doing that, even now, even in small ways. My child, continue. Do not stop. Do not doubt yourself. Keep moving forward. Keep growing. Keep learning. Because your purpose is unfolding step by step, and you are exactly where you need to be to continue. My child, before we continue, I want you to take another step. If you are ready to live your life with purpose, starting now, type, "I live with purpose," in the comments. Let that be your decision to move forward with intention every day. And if this message is helping you see your life differently, share it with someone who may be searching for their direction. Now stay with me, my child. Stay here with me for this final moment. You have walked through every step. You have listened, reflected, and allowed these words to reach deeper into your heart. You have stayed when you could have left. You have remained open when you could have ignored. And that matters more than you realize. Because this was never just about listening. This was about awakening something within you. My child, look at how far you have come in this moment. You began with questions. You felt tired, uncertain, maybe even disconnected. But now, something inside you is clearer. Not perfect, not complete, but clearer. You understand your thoughts more. You see your patterns more. You feel your presence more. And most importantly, you are beginning to trust yourself more. My child, this is where your true preparation begins. Not in these words alone, but in what you do after this moment. Because now, you know that your past does not define you. You know that your thoughts are not always truth. You know that your focus shapes your experience. You know that your actions create your path. You know that your consistency builds your future. You know that your discipline strengthens your life. You know that your presence brings peace. And now, you must live it. My child, do not let this become just another moment that passes. Do not listen, feel something, and then return to the same patterns without change. You have done that before, but this time must be different. This time you are aware, and awareness brings responsibility, not pressure, but responsibility to yourself, to your growth, to your life. My child, you do not need to change everything at once. You do not need to become perfect overnight. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. You only need to begin applying what you have understood. In small ways, in daily moments, in simple choices. When your mind starts to overthink, remember what you learned. When your past tries to return, release it again. When fear appears, take your next step anyway. When you feel tired, respond with awareness instead of pressure. When you lose focus, gently bring it back. This is how transformation happens, not in one big moment, but in many small ones. My child, your life will not suddenly become perfect. There will still be challenges. There will still be moments of doubt. There will still be times when you feel uncertain. But now, you are different. You are not the same person facing those moments. You are more aware, more steady, more prepared. And that changes everything. My child, I want you to remember this. You are not alone in your journey. Even when things feel unclear, even when progress feels slow, even when you question yourself, you are still moving forward. And that is what matters. My child, do not go back to thinking that you are forgotten. Do not return to believing that you are not enough. Do not fall into the old patterns that kept you feeling stuck. You have seen beyond them now. And once you see clearly, you cannot unsee. So walk forward with that clarity. Carry it into your daily life. Use it in your decisions. Apply it in your actions. Because that is how your life changes. My child, you are capable of more than you have allowed yourself to believe. Not because you suddenly became different, but because you are finally seeing what has been there all along. Your strength, your awareness, your ability to grow. My child, trust this. Trust yourself. Trust the process you are now part of. And continue, step by step, moment by moment, with awareness, with intention, with calm strength. My child, this is not the end. This is your beginning. A new way of thinking, a new way of responding, a new way of living. And it starts now, right where you are, with the next choice you make. So take that step, move forward, and do not look back with doubt. Look forward with clarity, because you are ready, my child. Before we close this moment, I want you to take one final step. If you are ready to carry this into your life and truly apply it, type "I am ready" in the comments. Let that be your commitment to yourself. And if this message has helped you, if it has brought you clarity, peace, or strength, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with others who need this guidance. And if you feel connected to this work and want to support it, you can do so through the link given below. Your support helps continue reaching lives with messages like this. Now go forward, my child, with clarity, with strength, with purpose. And remember, you are always seen, always guided, and never alone.